welcome to Youngest Lake the One YouTube channel. If this is your first time on my YouTube channel, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the red subscribe button down below and turn on the bell icon. Tell me what you think about this video in the comment section.
We're handing off talks about reporting responsibly on an understanding that we need to separate facts from propaganda, especially those that are in the mainstream media. And that is what the president entails. And the kind of reporting that is not aimed at dividing the country, but the kind of reporting that allows members of the public to be passed on information. I think that is the idea. And I also want to take this opportunity to respond to very specific issues that are emerging from the press. And this is to do with Cyber Security Act vis-a-vis the freedom of the press. I'm sure you've hosted a number of people with regard to that particular law, where some of you are believing that investigative journalism is under threat. I thought I needed to speak to the spirit of that particular discourse by indicating that evolved democracies have allowed themselves to have certain rules that protect the media itself, that protect the persons to which information is published, as well as society as a whole. I'll give you an example. A number of you have interacted with BBC Action. Exactly. Media Action. You are aware that BBC, CNN, or Al Jazeera, when they come to interview you, the first thing that they will do, for those of us that are not aware, is to consent that the information they are collecting from you will be made public. Are you aware of that? Mm-hmm. Now, that is what is happening for those highly industrialized media institutions. But there is an exception to that rule when it comes to humanitarian issues. And that is contained under the UN Charter. Where an individual is seen sexually molesting children, abusing human beings, killing human beings, they don't need consent as BBC. They'll go ahead and publish. That is the point of departure. But when they come to interview John, they will inform you immediately and say, we're going to. Now, you may also wish to know that even NGOs that are conducting different surveys, they will tell you that when you go to interview the respondents, the first thing that you do is allow them to consent. Why are they consenting? You need to assure them that this information will not be distorted and to their detriment, will not be published to their detriment, but it will be taken for research purposes. The reason is simple. You are basically protecting the integrity, the dignity of fellow human beings. That is the initiative around that. Now, so the clause contained in the cyber security is premised along the same lines. That law is not binding where a journalist is going to cover people that are being killed. That's a humanitarian issue. It is for that reason that even individual states have no monopoly of killing their own people. I'm sure you've heard of crime against humanity. Those are humanitarian issues I'm talking about. Where you are a whistleblower on things that will harm society, there is an exclusion to that law. So I should safely indicate, friends, that as we have hinted before, because every time we talk about statutory media regulation, other than self-regulation, we have heard conversations dragging in the Cyber Security Act. We are safe if correct things are being done. That is the narrative. We are safe if correct things are being done. There is nothing scary about it, because the entire SADC has done the same, as we demonstrated in the other presser we had, with a TV screen showing what they have done. So, that said, allow me now to deal with the specifics that I thought I needed to deal with in this particular presser. And this has to do with also taking advantage of this presser to respond to certain things that have characterized our political discourse ahead of 2026 elections. I've heard generally some of them called me this morning wanting an interview to react to the union. Was it a reunion of the Tonse and others? So I told them to come here, that it would be important for us to respond in one presser on the issue that relates to what they have formed there. First of all, we are not worried about their reunion because in 2021, it is the same team we bashed. In case you've forgotten, there's nothing new. And even when they're getting into those alliances, in case some of you have forgotten, the comrade here knows that UPND and PF have been in an alliance before. We know them. And we have been in an alliance with many of those people that you are seeing there. We know their capacity and their limit in terms of strategies. Such that even when they talk about plan B, there is no plan B. We know the extent to which they can reason. We have been together with them. Some of them in the opposition, your comrade Shontem, I'm sure you know that. They were with us. KBF was with us. We knew their contributions and the limit to which they could contribute. In other words, friends, there is nothing that will come out of that. And we celebrated also the issue of attempting to hand over what they are calling leadership to ECA, which is very good. Okay? At once beaten, quite shy, that's what they say. But now listen to this. For avoidance of doubt, you need to understand how the opposition lost elections for you to think they can win. Number one, you know very well that in 2016, somewhere there about, this year was in State House with about 22,000 or so votes. Then at that time, UPND knew that they just needed one constituency. Then he's gone. That is in 2016. How many years ago? That's a long time. Now, I have never seen a leader in Africa who was lost by 1.8 million coming back. Not anywhere in the world. Because not even Trump lost by such a margin. Do you get that? So, failure to understand how they lost elections will make them lose again. Because they don't know how they lost elections. And they're using the same approach. I'll tell you for years that a lot of things went wrong. Number one, in the education sector. The people that brought change are youths, no doubt about it. The youths of this country brought that change. Then the question you ask yourself, if they are the ones that brought change, what were the circumstances? The circumstances were that, number one, youths realized that someone pronounced an employment freeze. There was no more recruitment for the youths after adjusting the retirement age. In other words, there was nothing for them. What are the circumstances today? Youths are aware when they are going to school. At least each one of you standing here, you know that you know someone who has been recruited. Those are the circumstances we have been confronted with. In other words, youths have hope that there is recruitment going on by sector. I want to demonstrate using numbers. We come into leadership, first recruitment in the teaching fraternity, over 30,000. There is no single country even in Europe with that record. You should be ready to tell us which one. Not even USA. Later on, the whole Southern Africa, there will be no single country that will give you that record. Secondly, health sector. Over 14,000 at a go recruited. And who are the majority there? The youths. What were they doing? They were celebrating and saying, this is what we voted for. The next time you found another recruitment, government planned in the budget to recruit about 4,500. We went beyond to about 7,000 plus in the teaching fraternity alone. Who are the majority there? The youths. Who are being blocked during the employment freeze. Why am I going there? I want you to understand how elections can be won and how they can be lost. That for us, the message is going back to the people that brought the change and telling them that, look, our message to you is that there's employment freeze. We shall unlock, opportunities for you to get jobs. Then we have been deliberate. What about those that have never been to school? That's why you heard the president announcing when he was meeting the youths at Mlungushi International Conference Center that 200,000 youths have graduated in vocational training. That is in skills training. 200,000. You have never had that record in 60 years of independence. You have never had that record the whole Southern Africa. Huh? That is why you saw a team of our friends from Namibia had to come and learn how we are using CDF under decentralization, because it's attractive to them. You heard also President Ruto pronouncing CDF as well, including the recruitment of teachers. Now, we did not end there. In other words, we are focusing on those that have completed school and those that have not completed school, to give them survival skills in general agriculture, carpentry, welding, fish farming. And in addition to that, in 3 years, over 2,800 cooperatives in different categories. Some of them, you have seen the Minister of SMEs flagging them off in some industrial zones. Those are Zambian owned. As if that isn't enough, as at last year, over 74,000 market booster loans to marketeers. And this year, as the president has indicated, in terms of empowerment, 397,000 allocated under the CEEC to be accessed by citizens. When we took over leadership in 2021, the CEEC allocation was 41 million. And in 2021, only about 10 million was released. You get the point? Now, you must be very careful. It depends on where you stand. When you say these people will lose, and obviously this takes me to Dr. Neon Sumutanyi's statement. Now, with due respect, I'm aware myself that he has never been accurate. Coming from the University of Zambia, he has never been accurate. Even Fred Member and his friends agree. There is a Post newspaper dated, there's a Post newspaper which was dated October in 2008, October 29, in which Malupenga said Simutanyi is a liar and a coward. And what was the background of this? Because Simutanyi predicted that, because the Post then predicted that Sata was winning. Then Simutanyi said something else. And their friendship died. Because this particular survey, according to them, was done by Pangolin Consulting, which indicated that at that time PF was going to win. Simutanyi said something else. It was not the first time. But what did we get? He said Sata was losing. Sata won. Now how can you trust such a person? Now today, because it is a friendship of convenience, they've come back together with a liar to predict that UPN do struggle to get 50% plus 1. What is the basis? I've told you where we're coming from. For you to get ECL to win, you need to be very clear on how many out of 1.8 million don't still believe in HH. In the first place, it is also common sense that those that voted for HH do not want HH to fail, because they believe they made the right decision. Okay? Now, who is saying he will struggle? Of course, he didn't say he will lose. They are saying he will struggle. Take into consideration, first of all, the state of the opposition. Under normal circumstances, if you want to know the winner mostly, on active political leaders in the opposition, the day the president, the incumbent is sworn in, you can tell who is a threat. Today, you hear friends saying, HH is packing 2026. Then they are basically blackmailing citizens, because they can't tell citizens who will beat HH. Do you get the point? Mm-hmm. Then, after deceiving citizens, they hand over power to ECL. They know that the existing judgment is very clear. And they may have all the zeal that the judgment may come out otherwise. We may not know. But the point is clear. That they are basically playing to the gallery by wasting their own time. Assuming this matter is disposed of by the close of this year, then they will go back to the drawing board to look for plan B again. So literally they are stuck. I'm telling you, we know their capacity. How do you get the worst losing candidate as your best candidate. Now, these are the questions you need to ask. And I want to say this, that you see, the generation of politicians we have now, and this is a notorious fact, are passive. HH is going to have his own second term with ease in 2026. Nicely, with ease. But that generation is passive. To come and settle UPND will take another generation. Those are gone. Starting from their age. They are already gone. And from 1991, in Zambia, a leader doesn't come back. Once you've lost, you are gone. It's done. Now, let me also be winding up by saying to you friends that we have areas we have performed well, few areas we still have challenges in. And it must be made very clear, in the area of agriculture, it is a well-known fact that today, when farmers have harvested, they are paid almost immediately by FRA. When we took over leadership in 2021, we found 258,000 farmers unpaid. They were all cleared. We found retirees in the civil service unpaid. You've seen the record. We found those retirees at Tazara unpaid. They were paid. So what do you think is happening in their mind? We found the mining sector dead. Today as we speak, it is a different case altogether. I heard someone talking about Copperbelt. I think they were trying to dramatize what Chairman Matambo said concerning winning on the Copperbelt. Him and I come from the Copperbelt, particularly Chingola for record. We were at the same school. Those of you who don't know. He was a prefect. I was a prefect as well. At Chingola. Let me tell you something. On the Copperbelt, if you mess up the mine, you are gone. There are no two ways about it. You restore the mine, those who close this think they can go and win. They are cheating themselves. They don't understand Copperbelt. They do not understand Copperbelt. As we talk today, when 87 million was released by Mopani towards the Mopani mine in Kitwe for the local authorities, they cleared all the retirees who were retired under the PF. Okay? And what do you think they are because they were not paid for many years. What do you think is in their mind concerning HH and his leadership? Those that are getting back jobs, you see the whole Copperbelt is structured. You can finish the whole Copperbelt in one day driving. Okay? When a mine is opened in Mfurira, people can be living in Ndola but working in Mfurira. They can be living in Chingola working in Mfurira. They can be living in Kitwe working in Mfurira. Mopani sits in Mfurira and Kitwe. KCM sits in Chingola and Chirirabombo. So, the whole Copperbelt is engulfed. There is also shaft 28. Now, for those of you that don't understand what it means when you're talking about shaft 28 and this issue of shaft, there is underground mining and open pit mining on the Copperbelt. Anyway, I've been a semi-gerabo. If you ask him privately, he will tell you he has been one. Because whoever has been growing up on the Copperbelt do not know very well what scrap dealing is. Or to get all these small things from the mines, Bam Pepeka, you go to Venemukonkela, you give them, they put on a scale, they give you something. That is our lifestyle there. So, I want to tell you that Copperbelt is solid. And the secret there is simply mining. Now, if they are saying they are going to win, they must tell us which area they are going to win from. Because Luapula is gone. I don't know, friends, whether you are seeing what I'm talking about. If we hold by-elections in Luapula, and you know the people of Luapula are friends, when they make a decision, it's difficult, they don't backtrack easily. See how many MPs we are gathering in every by-election there. And you think those people are joking? They are not. But then what is the basis for voting there? There is SAF, a credit facility in agriculture. There is also, there are some who have been empowered in fish farming. You know that there was extinction of fish in Wapula most of the time. That particular activity was promised during the campaign of trying to restock So in restocking, they are training them in fish farming. And also the idea that the harvest they had since they had rainfall, they were paid almost immediately by FRA. Those are the things they want to hear. Under CDF, those contracts, the roads that are being done, those are the things that they enjoy. And they are aware that even the construction of the airport there, which is taking shape in Mansa, is a milestone. Including Kasama Airport. You've seen the way it is today when you land there. Previously, when you land, where you would land in Mulukum, that's what would happen. Not anymore. It's so smart and clean. Chinsari will be having the first ever airport because economic activities are promising there in mining. Meaning the country has changed. As we speak today, friends, we have more than 14 airlines landing at Lusaka International Airport. What has the president done to do that? All he did is to engage his counterparts. When he was relaxing visa conditions, some people were attacking him. They did not know his strategy. The strategy was to allow an influx of tourists to come in the country, in turn give business to those in the hospitality industry. That's why now you find hotels fully packed. It simply means our sisters and brothers who are in the hospitality industries are also getting the market. That's what it means. And this is what you are seeing. All the lodges are now active. When you check domestic flights, you would think it's an international route. And now the neon billboard is full. And in case you are doubting, the moment UPND won, Turkish Airlines opened immediately a direct flight to Turkey. And the president went to meet his counterpart in Angola. He told him, when he came back, he said, we will reopen a direct flight. It is done. He went to President Philippe of Mozambique. He did the same. And you remember during that particular banquet, they were even celebrating the reopening of a direct flight. It's done. Today you can fly to Entebbe, Uganda directly. What are they looking for? We have opened up issues of visa. People don't like these rigidities when it comes to traveling. So I've removed them to allow for Zambia to be one of the best tourist destination, one of the best investment destination. And this is what we are getting. Now, lastly, you are aware, friends, that our friends only talk about food, that we have a solution to it. Part of the solution to the issue of food is safe to get as many citizens as possible to produce the commodity which creates our staple food. Because we all know that other developed countries or developing countries now have done that before. For example, China itself. In what they call the big contract of 1948, 49, they allowed almost every household to cultivate land in order to create food security. And they came up with that as a policy issue nationwide. How did they have people access land? They had to get land from the landlords and subdivided it into households, such that citizens could get this piece of land and produce something until they had surplus even to export. Now, that big contract is referred to as the beginning of China's economic revolution. And they have developed and reshaped it over the years by sector. What has the president done? Relaxing policies to access the credit facility under agriculture. That you don't need to own land as it were, on title. It can be a rented land, it can be customary land, it can be on title. Then you have access to the credit facility. Then when we have surplus, you've seen many people have cultivated. We can have enough. Meaning the people that will buy, in terms of the number, will reduce. Thereby creating availability of the commodity on the market. Then the prices will eventually start going down. That's what he's trying to do. Our colleagues don't understand those things. They're in darkness in the first place. I want to wind up by saying that you cannot get a solution from the same people that destroyed the economy. It's impossible. They destroyed Zesco, leaving it with about 1.6 billion US dollars in Congole. Then it was brought down under the UPND to about 600. UPND came up with also for domestic debt, what is called domestic debt dismantling strategy 2022 to 2026. That's why government announced last year that now dismantling domestic debt is at over 75%. That's what we have done. the president went and negotiated with Mamba Cooperatives, which was owed $500 million US. And now when government paid them, Mamba Cooperatives was now able to expand to produce an extra 300 megawatts in addition to the existing 300 megawatts to put together, once it's operational, 600 megawatts, coming close to the deficit that we have as a country. You can see how people that think reason.
Oh my goodness.